Hey guys, and welcome to this video on whether you should manifest or not during an eclipse. I'm Cassandra, the SaffronSage, helping you use astrology to evolve, and today we're going to answer the question, should I manifest during an eclipse? If you're looking for the short answer, should I manifest during an eclipse, the answer is no. But in this video, I'm going to tell you why we say not to manifest during an eclipse. So first, let's talk about what is an eclipse. In a solar eclipse, the moon is between the earth and the sun, blocking the sun's light. And in a lunar eclipse, the earth is in the middle and the moon and the sun are on both sides. And the moon comes like into a shadow so that it's not being illuminated by the sun. So that is the definition, the basic definition of eclipses. And another way to define an eclipse is when it is within 18 degrees of one of the north or south nodes. It is the proximity to the nodal axis that makes an eclipse an eclipse. So because the nodal axis is 180 degrees, the sun is going to cross that axis two times in a year, and that is when we have eclipse season. Now, eclipse season is roughly every 6 months, and it usually comes in pairs. So usually we'll have a new moon and a full moon, or a full moon and a new moon right in a row. Occasionally, because of how everything lines up, it'll come in a set of 3. But either way, it's always going to be when that sun, moon, and earth are in that alignment with each other. So this often is going to happen when the sun is in one of the same signs as the nodes, because usually they need to be in one of the same signs in order to be within 18 degrees. But occasionally an eclipse can be the sign next to the north or south node. So I have an example here on April 20th, 2023. We will have the sun at 29 degrees of Aries, and we'll have the north node at 4 degrees of Taurus. So if the north node or the south node are kind of toward the edge of a sign, then when the sun gets close and they have that eclipse, it can actually be in a different sign. So now on to the reasons why we shouldn't manifest during eclipses. Number one, first and foremost, eclipses are malefic. Malefic means bad. In ancient astrology, eclipses were known to be malefic, and in many different cultures, they were seen as bad. Now imagine, before we had telescopes and everything, how would you interpret the light from the sky being blocked out? It does not seem like a positive thing. And so eclipses are malefic. Now I want to talk a little bit more about what the energy of an eclipse and why it's not the best idea to manifest. Based on this idea that they are malefic, they are not necessarily considered positive. Eclipses are like new moon or full moon on steroids. They're like very, very powerful new or full moons. And because they have a lot of power, in order to make big changes, things have to be destabilized. There is no way to have sweeping change in our lives without destabilizing us in some way. So eclipses, because of their ability to create these profound, huge life changes. Now, which eclipse is going to hit you harder is going to depend on a few things in your own chart. But eclipses have the potential to create huge sweeping changes in our lives, huge upheavals. And you cannot have an upheaval without destabilizing. And so because of this destabilization, eclipses will often come with changes that are not easy. Eclipses can be when we have divorces, when we move out of places, when we end relationships, when jobs end. Now, these are not the only things that can happen, but many people have really big, powerful, life-changing events when eclipses happen. And if you think about, the 3 biggest things that have ever changed your life, how many of those things started out with something crazy or bad or challenging first? Almost always. And so because eclipses have such a potential to create the biggest changes of some of the celestial events in the sky, eclipses are one of the most powerful for this. They also do come with unsettling or difficult things. So could you, in theory, still manifest during an eclipse? Yes. Could you set an intention during a solar eclipse? Yes. But it's almost guaranteed something bad is going to happen too. because there's no way to get that huge change without some kind of destabilization. So if you believe in doing no harm to yourself and others, you would not want to do this. You would not want to. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't do. I believe we all have free will and we can all do whatever we want. But I think if more people understood how eclipses worked, they would not want to manifest during them. So it is my intention just to give you some information about why, what is happening during an eclipse, what is so important about eclipses that makes astrologers always say, don't manifest during eclipse season. So the second reason not to manifest during an eclipse is because eclipses are already going to affect our destiny. Now, this is especially true if the eclipse happens to land in the same sign as your north or south node, or if it's like conjunct a natal planet, or even maybe a house cusp or an angle. Eclipses are powerful new and full moons that happen near the nodes, and the nodes, wherever they are transiting in the sky, represent our mission in life, our direction in life. So these are already very powerful events that can change the direction of our life. Then if you add on top of it, like let's say you're having a nodal return and then the eclipses are in the same sign as your natal north and south node, then you're having a nodal return in the same 18-month period. And at that time, you will probably already have some crazy huge life changes. Now, if it's opposite your nodes, so it's where your south node is where the north node is, and that means you're having a nodal opposition. I have another video on nodal returns and oppositions if you want to get more into that. You can just click the link to go watch that one as well. But the point here is that we already have these scheduled times in our life where the hand of fate is going to come along and change our course of our life if that is what is scheduled for us. So we don't need to manifest on top of it. Okay, when eclipse season is happening, whether they're in the same sign as your nodes or not, eclipses are going to have big changes that really stretch us beyond where we are. So we don't need to be setting intentions at that time. Now, I am not saying you should not manifest or set intentions or have goals and dreams for yourself and work toward them. But eclipse season isn't the time to sit down and do the ceremony to get it to manifest. That is what I'm saying to watch out for. You can still be visualizing the future you want every single day during eclipse season and be taking the inspired actions that are going to lead you to that future. And you can still be doing everything in your power on a daily basis to become the future version of yourself so that reality manifests. That is all okay. The parts that are cautioned during eclipse season is like doing an actual new moon ceremony, or doing some kind of ritual that infuses the eclipse energy into the ritual. That's what we want to avoid. That is what you're going to experience the negative effects of potentially if you do. And then the third reason is that unless you are an astrologer, you are not going to be able to figure out what the eclipse means. Even if you know the meaning of the sign the eclipse is happening in, that is a very small piece of how we interpret an eclipse. We need to be able to look at the planet that rules that sign and what it's doing and whether it's making good or bad aspects to the eclipse. And then we need to be able to look at our own natal charts and see where it's happening in the chart and what is lining up with, and whether it's lining up with a natal promise that is challenging or that is harmonious. And then, astrologers can even go further to eclipses and look at the Soros cycle. So each eclipse is in a certain cycle of eclipses. And these cycles each have like numbers to go with them, and they also have themes. So the theme of each eclipse depends on the chart of the first eclipse in that Soros cycle. And so even that is something that, if you're watching this video, you probably aren't going to be able to know by yourself without an astrologer how an eclipse is going to affect you. So the point with number 3 is just there's a lot to know to be able to figure out whether an eclipse is going to land in a positive or negative way. And even then, even as an astrologer, even if I saw that eclipse was really, really good in all ways energetically, I still would not manifest during that eclipse. So just to recap here, First of all, eclipses are known to be unpredictable. And even if you set the best intentions while an eclipse is happening and did a ceremony at that time where you don't want harm to come to anyone, there's still almost a guarantee that something destabilizing will happen. Eclipse energy is already bringing really big, strong changes, so you don't really need to manifest on top of that and add more to the plate. And also, there are so many energies infused into eclipses that go far beyond just simply what sign that eclipse is in. So let me know in a comment below if this video helped. I hope that it helped clear up some of the reasons why we always say this, or you always hear astrologers say, don't manifest during eclipses. And I love hearing from you, so let me know below if you have questions or comments or thoughts on this subject. And you can also join my course on eclipses that I am running very soon. This course is happening on April 27th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to go over the solar cycles more in depth, how to interpret an eclipse, how to understand the energy of an eclipse, and we're going to go over the eclipse happening here in April. This is a 2-hour live video all about the nature of eclipses in astrology. There's a live Q&A. You can ask me questions about eclipses, and we are going to cover so much. I'm going to tell you everything I know about how to interpret the energy of an eclipse so you can identify some of these things that I've talked about in this video. So click the link below to get in on that. There is a link in the description, and I hope to see you there. I'm also doing live readings on Fridays and on this channel, so come join me to get a chance to get a live reading from me on YouTube Live. You can come jump on, watch the other people's readings, see how I read charts. Last time we had so much fun. You can either Venmo, PayPal, or Super Chat me the $35 and get your reading live right on the spot while you're chatting with me, while you're interacting with me. These are so much fun. So to join, what you can do is find the live video on my YouTube main page and click set reminder. Then you'll get reminded when that video comes out. And you can also make sure you're subscribed and that you have that bell checked for notifications so that you do get the notifications when I go live. So that is all I have for this video, and I will see you all in the next one.